So guys, this is one of your homework problems from MATLAB. Another thing, when you try this problem, the numbers will vary, okay? So instead of 5 years and the probabilities will change. So don't worry about it. It's one of the homework problems. It's one of the more difficult problems. Let's read the question carefully and I will solve it. All right. The probability that a randomly selected 4-year-old male stink bug will live to be 5 years old is 0.95364. Okay. Highly likely that the bug will live for more than 5 years. Live to be 5 years. Fine. What is the probability that two randomly selected bug, 4-year-old male stink bugs, will live up to 5 years old? Well, I'm going to assume independence, and it's kind of an assumption. Okay. That's why, again, you want to read the chapter. It's from 5.3. I don't have to mention they're independent. The events are independent. Two bugs, when they die, what affects one will not influence the death of the other. But you can argue that it might be a case where there is something going on where the bugs live. We're not going to get into those philosophical debates, okay? And math is sometimes we make simpler models to solve a problem. So they are independent. I'm assuming independent. I'm going to write it down, okay? So that you know, assume independence. Assume independence. And it's not something I'll say in question on the exam. I will give you problems very similar to the ones in your packet. Very similar. If they don't say assume independence, I won't, but it's understood. Assume independence. All right. So you're choosing two. What's the probability that they're going to both live? The answer is very easy. You can write if they're independent, 0.95364, and you have to square it because there are two bugs, okay, and they're independent. And your calculator will tell you this is what? And let me tell you, on the exam, it's a good idea to use Desmos because you can copy paste and you're not going to enter the wrong number. See what we get. I'm getting this 0.9094. Fine. Done with it. Save it here. All right. What's the probability that 7 randomly selected 4-year-old male stink bugs will live to 5? Well, very easy. Very easy. First one survived, second one survived. These are all independent. I can just multiply them. And what do we get here? You take the same number, bring it down. This time I'm going to replace 2 with 7. And I got 0.71. Got it? Piece of cake. What is the probability that at least one? So whenever I see the word at least, I underline it. Okay. I am going to find the probability that they all survive. All 7 of them survive. And the good news is I found it for part B, right? Part B is what? What is the probability that 7 randomly selected 4-year-old male stink bugs will live to be 5 years old? The answer is 0.71728411157. Now, this one, I'm going to write it very carefully, okay? So what about this? The probability that at least one will not survive. The probability that at least one will. You can write not survive. I'm going to just say die. The probability that at least one will die is the complement of the probability that they all survive. Got it? And the probability of the complement is 0.71 and all those numbers. So this will be 1 minus this, whatever that may be. And we're going to find out in a second. And I'm going to write C here. We're working on C. All right, again, I'm going to go to Desmos for help. I'm getting this number, 0.28. All right, so let me address this. And the question also asks, would it be unusual when we say something is unusual if the probability is less than 0.05? I won't ask you that question, okay, on the exam. It's coming from a chapter that we will actually get into a little later, or maybe it's in chapter section one. So when somebody, so let me announce it. If something is unusual, we say its probability is less than um, zero point zero 0.05. This is 0.28 is higher than 0.05, so it's not unusual. So these are my three answers. Now I do have the answers. Let me check if I got them right. So my answers are zero point 0.9. Let me check my answer here for my own sanity. I do make mistakes, unfortunately. I'm not proud of. I got zero point 0.9. I got zero point 0.7. I got zero point 0.28. So I'm happy. And it is unusual because, sorry, it's not unusual because in order for it to be unusual, it probably has to be less than 0.05. Okay. All right. So that takes care of our class today, guys. So make sure you do the problems from 5.3, do the problems from 5.2, 5.1. If you haven't done it, I'll see you next class. Bye bye.